1 plus 2i is a 0 of the polynomial p of x equals x cubed minus 5x squared plus 11x minus 15. Find all other zeros. So when it says all other zeros, this is a cubic polynomial, so it has a maximum of 3 roots, right? Well, it has exactly 3 roots if you take complex roots into account. So if 1 plus 2i is a 0, then that means that's a complex root. Then that means its conjugate is also a 0. So if 1 plus 2i is a 0, 1 minus 2i, the conjugate, is also a 0. Okay, so when you get these complex roots to polynomial equations, they come from, you get these pairs of roots, and they come from a quadratic factor that doesn't factorize. Or if you tried to use the quadratic formula on it, then the bit inside the square root, the discriminant, would be negative, right? So that's why you kind of end up adding that bit for one solution, the imaginary part, and subtracting it for the other, and that's why you get 1 and its conjugate, right? So basically, this 1 plus 2i and the 1 minus 2i, they come from a quadratic factor of this polynomial, right? So we're looking to find the quadratic factor, and we can then use the sum and product of roots of a quadratic. So if we have the two roots, 1 plus 2i and 1 minus 2i, then the sum of roots, well, that equals 1 plus 2i plus 1 minus 2i. So the 2i's cancel out. 2i minus 2i is nothing. So that equals 2. Product of roots, and that is 1 plus 2i, 1 minus 2i. Okay, that's the difference of 2 squared, so that is 1 squared minus 2i squared, or 4i squared. I squared is minus 1, so minus 4i squared is plus 4. 1 plus 4 is 5, right? So the quadratic factor that has the sum of roots 2 and the product of roots 5, a quadratic factor, is x squared. Remember, it's x squared minus some x plus product. So x squared minus 2x plus 5. And I know there's not an a in front of the x, because the original polynomial is just x cubed minus 5x squared plus 11x minus 15. So I'm not going to have anything in front of the x other than a 1, because that's all I've got here. So if you had something else in front, then you'd need fractions, and you just don't present polynomials like that. Right, so now I know x squared minus 2x plus 5 is a factor of p of x. Okay, so now you have choices. We need to find one more. It's a cubic, there's only one more, and it's going to be real. There's complex roots go around in pairs. So you could use long division, so you could get your polynomial x cubed minus 5x squared plus 11x minus 15 and divide it by x squared minus 2x plus 5, but really that's a bit over the top for what we're trying to do. So the easiest way to do it is to write it something like this. So x cubed minus 5x squared plus 11x minus 15 equals, well, we've got the quadratic factor that we just worked out, x squared minus 2x plus 5. So that times, well, we're looking to find another linear root. Again, you could put ax plus b or something like that, but if you think about what goes in here, if you think about the first term, we will think about the last term. We've got to make x cubed, as I've just been discussing, so that has to be an x in there. And then we're looking to make a 0, so if we consider x minus some a, and if you think about it, then that would mean a would be our 0. You can write plus a if you like, but then if you're going to turn it into a 0 later, you are going to have to reverse the sign. Right, so then if we just compare the coefficient of the constant term, of constant term okay, and again I'm just doing exactly the same thing as I've just done with the x's really. Just think, the only thing that gives a number with no x's or higher powers of x's is that 5 times the minus a, right? So on the left hand side you have minus 15 equals, on the right hand side you got 5 times minus a, so that's minus 5a. So that must mean that a equals 3. Minus 15 divided by minus 5 is 3. Okay, so we have been asked to find all other zeros, so other two zeros. Therefore, other two zeros are, so we have 1 plus 2i, so the one that we found was 1 minus 2i, and 3. If we put 3 into that, as in p of 3 should be 0, so 3 cubed minus 5 times 3 squared plus 11 times 3 minus 15 should equal 0, would be a 0 of that polynomial.